I'm going to do an insight video today. Over the last few weeks, I've been feeling like I'm being directed and guided more and more around sort of like spiritual reality or ultimate spiritual reality, spiritual truth, and around these kind of things. I feel like the guides and the masters and the angels are very much sort of like, I keep talking about source light and source creation and co-creation, and I feel like this is being more and more sort of directed. It's very much around sort of like creating, but also sort of integrating sort of like the two realities or the different realities as we become these energetic beings and we start to open up our energy and our source light energy, and we start to open up to different vibrations and frequencies. I feel like the two worlds, the spirit world and the physical and material world, start to integrate. And what I mean by this is, I feel like the universal law of correspondence, which is a universal sort of truth, and all the universal laws are universal truths, and this is what I feel I'm being directed to talk about today. Spiritual truth and universal laws are like very much integrated within spiritual true reality and spiritual truths. And I feel like as I get into this energy this morning, I'm being directed um, to living in harmony with both aspects. So you're living in harmony with your higher self and your spiritual self and your spiritual energy and your spiritual light, but also opening up to the consciousness that the two realities are one reality. There is no separation again, and this is what I feel I'm being directed to this morning. I feel like there's like building a bridge from sort of like our sort of spiritual light and energy, but also building a bridge from being conscious of being a human being, but also being conscious that you're a spiritual being, and being conscious that you walk in light, you walk in energy, you walk in a vibration that is an infinite vibration that's far beyond this physical dimension and this physical reality. And I feel like this is what's happening at the moment. I feel like the guides and the masters and the angels are very much giving us this wisdom to awaken and realize that we walk as spirit, we walk as light, we walk as energy. We're not a human being, we're an infinite being. We're an infinite being of light and energy. And this is the gift of source light and creation as well. That source light and creation lives in like the sixth dimension, the dimension of light energy. And we're being very much sort of like directed to open up to that consciousness, open up to that awareness that we are these beings as well. And it's about sort of creating from the universal law of correspondence, which is the inner planes, the inner planes of consciousness, the inner planes of reality, the infinite realities. And we're being directed and asked to walk as that spiritual light, walk as that spiritual energy, but also know that you exist in that reality, you exist in that realms as well. So it's about being consciously aware that you like spirit, like different beings of light and energy, you are the same. You are the same essence, the same frequency, the same light, and we're being asked to use that energy, use that light to create a more spiritual reality, a more spiritual um, experience here. And we're being asked to sort of connect into that light, connect in that energy, and awaken to it, and walk around and vibrate as it. And when we're doing that with this universal law of correspondence, we're creating. And again, they've been talking about creation, and they've been talking about um, creating from within and creating from that inner space, that sacred space of energy and light. And I'm being directed to consciously create from there. And also, how it feels for me is like I go like into inner realm or inner world, and everything is sort of like everything can be manifested from there. So it's like this centered place, this place of energy and light, and this place of creation. And I'm being sort of like directed to go within my. It's not within my body. It feels like I go within inside it in my body, but what it is I'm going in a sacred space. I'm going into that source vibration of creation, and I'm being asked to sit in that space and then create from there, create from within, create from that source creation and light space. And when I'm in there, there's harmony, there's peace, there's balance, and it also tells me that from that place, the external reality is manifested and created from there. So what it's saying is, when I'm in that space I'm in that creation sort of like vibration, everything external can be sort of responded to from that place, but it also can be created from that place. So what it's saying to me is, when experience comes in, if I'm within that space, I can vibrate, or I can sort of like manifest from there out, and that space is where there's that infinite wisdom, that infinite sort of understanding, that insight. But it's also an open channel. It's an open channel to the divine intelligence, the divine source energy, and it's telling me that when I'm in that space, when things come in, there's this sacred moment, this sacred space, this infinite energy that I can choose how I respond to it, or what I create from that moment. And there's a beautiful opportunity, and that's like alchemy again. That's like the magic. That's like the magic of being a spiritual being. Because when you're in that space, things come in, but there's many possibilities, and there's many choices, and there's many opportunities of how you respond to that. And the more that we go into that space and that place, the more we enter our infinite being, our higher self, where this like the soul wisdom lives, where the soul qualities live. But it's also an open channel where the angels can communicate with us, and the guides can communicate with us, and we can also be in connection with that source energy, that source light. And it's telling me from that space, from that place, there are no issues, there's no problems, there's no barriers, there's no boundaries. There's just an infinite energy that can be accessed, and can be sort of used, used to express the highest outcome, the highest the highest outcome from that place. Again, it's a place of where source light and creation is, a place of unconditional um, expression and light and energy. And this is the place where the masters got to. This is the place where the masters became illuminated at. They understood that, when you were in this space, you were open, and you're open to the flow, and the divine flow of the universe, and the divine intelligence. And when you're in that space, everything seems easy, everything seems to flow. There's harmony, there's balance, there's peace. There are no issues, and there's nothing that you can't overcome. But this is also connects into that divine intelligence, that divine flow, which connects to Al Moira, the ascended master, where you can connect into that energy, and you can connect into that divine intelligence, that divine wisdom, that divine flow. But it also connects to Saint Germain as well, because this is the divine will, that you can shift and change reality at will, and you can shift and change your consciousness to manifest and create a reality that's more in line with your outcomes and your truth, your spiritual truth, which is your spiritual nature. But it's also a place where you access, like I said, this soul qualities and this soul wisdom. And this is the practice for many of us at the moment, because we're becoming heightened, and we're becoming more aligned with these higher vibrations, these higher frequencies. We're being asked to create and exist from that place. But also know that it's not a temporary thing, that being in that space can be an infinite, but it also can be a constant thing, where once we're in that flow, we can remain in it. We don't have to keep coming out of it. And the practice is to remain in it, is to keep going back into it and remain until it becomes integrated, that it becomes like your normal reality, your normal everyday experience. And this is what they're trying to say to me. Like I was saying, archangels are very much connected to this. Talking about Almora, then you're talking about Gabriel, the messenger that brings this insight, this wisdom, this understanding. Saint Germain, with the transformation and transformation, and then Zadkiel, who's working on that at the moment as well. Saint Germain, I feel like the colours are more or less like the violet colours of Saint Germain, and Zadkiel are very much integrated. You've got the blue of Gabriel, and you've got the blue of I feel like a blue like with Gabriel, and a darker blue again with Almoira. And we're being sort of like connected into that. Then if you bring the ascended masters again, you've got like Serapis Bey, which is about ascension, coming back to this law of one. And this is what this whole time's about, is coming back into one vibration, one reality, one spiritual truth, which is that all is connected and nothing is separate. So we're about here to open up these these energy channels that we're all part of, but we're all vibrating with. And it, like I said, in the time of Atlantis and Lemuria, we vibrated as one with the universal beings and the universal teachers, and also the archangels. We had access to them, and this is what we're coming back to in this time now, and this is what we're being directed to, and this is why I feel like I keep talking about the universal law of correspondence, but it's the gateway, it's the doorway into source light and creation. And that's why it's so important that we remain within that the infinite vibration, that infinite frequency, which is like going within. I say going within, but there is no in or out. There is just like one vibration and one frequency. What's really happening is when you're going within, you're raising your consciousness to a spiritual level of understanding and wisdom, that you actually access source light and creation. You access your co-creative aspect of your infinite being, and then you start to manifest and shift and change reality at will. But you're not going in unnecessarily. It's a shift in consciousness. It feels like you're going within because it feels like a very different space, but the space is different because it's the universal space. It's not the physical space, which is the external world, which is the outer world. So there's a distinction there, and it's really important at this time to what we feel and what we sense to follow it, because we're being guided. We've been given infinite wisdom. We've been given insights at the moment, and we're very much being asked to, like I said, Serapis Bay, with this, like the law of one, the law of one vibration. Uriel is working with us with the lamp, light in our way, giving us clarity, wisdom, understanding, true sort of clarity to understand, to move into this higher awareness, higher frequency. Crystals you should be using at the moment: clear quartz, the higher vibration, cleansing, clearing. You could be using, Super 7 as well, opening up your consciousness. Indigo Garbro, about this spiritual awareness, spiritual truth, spiritual pathway. These kind of crystals will really help at the moment, because everything is about higher vibrations, and this is why anchoring is so important at the moment. Anchoring is the understanding and the integration of bringing that spiritual wisdom into everyday presence, everyday reality, and shifting and changing your reality. It's so important. Open up your energy centers, open up your energy field, and start to align, because the masters and the angels are working with you at the moment, and they're working on the planet to open up the frequency, the collective consciousness frequency of the planet, and each and every one of us are connecting and aligning with that, and each and every one of us has a purpose and is part of that sort of shifting and changing. We're all here. This is what we're here for, and this is what they've been giving me over the last few weeks, and the feelings are getting stronger. But it's about that integration. It's about remaining. For me, it's a daily practice. I keep trying to remain in that inner world, and the more I do it, then I start to create from there. So if something comes up at work or in my life that is stressful, if I'm in the inner plane, I can take a second, I can take a deep breath, I can open my energy up to receive that wisdom, that insight of how to respond to that. So you start to learn to remain in a sacred, harmonious space, and then you respond to it, and that's the practice. And then you start to open up your channel to receive that wisdom, that understanding of how to respond to things. So that's the insight for today, anyway.